Are you having a hard time increasing your wealth and making more money? Here are three proven beliefs that will allow you to increase your wealth almost right away. So, belief number one, that, and this is my personal belief, right? I have found, and I've tested this over the years, that when I increase my faith in God, that I become more abundant and my sense of inner peace expands. Now, I've had a battle inside of my head for many years because I had this idea that God doesn't exist and it was just a made up idea to help us feel safe and to try to control people or get human beings to behave better. However, I have found that when I am strong in my faith and I'm praying and I'm grateful and I'm mindful that there's a creator who would love me and take care of me, and if I put my faith in him and I showed up in a way that would make God smile, that I would be taken care of, it just seems like situations are taken care of. Now, I know that it could be my subconscious mind, but I don't think so. Because when it's just me doing it, I don't have the same kind of peace. I don't have the same kind of ease inside that I get when I believe in God. And so, wherever you're at, that's fine. You're on your own journey. But for me personally, the more I strengthen my faith in God, the more peaceful I am. And that gives me the ability to enhance the second belief, which is things always work out for me in the end. And if it hasn't worked out yet, it just means it isn't the end. So, because of my belief that God, there is a God, and that God loves me, and that I love God, and that He's going to help me, the situations I don't know how to figure out on my own, through Him, I can accomplish anything, right? So, having a belief like that gives me the confidence, the steadfastness to be able to make bold moves in my life. And the only way that you can really get ahead is by making some bold moves. You cannot play it safe and win, right? As Lao Tzu once said, you can't play it safe, by the base of the tree. You have to go out on a limb because that's where the fruit is. It's out on the limb. But that means you got to let go of the safety of the base to go out on this limb where you might fall, but you've got to go out there and get that fruit. Now, it's not even about getting the fruit. It's about developing self-belief that you can actually balance, that you can actually get to the goal, right? That you have the ability to do that. People are always like, Tim, can you help me create more confidence? And I'm like, confidence comes from competency. It comes from this inner knowing that you're going to be okay and you're going to be able to handle whatever shows up. It doesn't matter what shows up. What matters is how you show up. And so confidence comes from this inner certainty, this conviction that you're going to be able to handle it because you're good enough, because you're more than enough, because you're smart, you're talented, and because your faith is strong. So you'll be able to handle any obstacle. In fact, obstacles are opportunities in disguise. That's a bonus belief, right? That obstacles are opportunities in disguise. So when things are going great, that's awesome. Love that time. When things aren't going great and you have lots of obstacles, learn to love that time as well, because those obstacles are opportunities that are there to help you either gain new skills, to expand your awareness, or sometimes just to test your level of self-mastery, your ability to remain calm and patient and focused on the prize when your senses are telling you that it's never going to work out and you're not going to be okay, right? And so that ability to believe in yourself and make bold moves is the second belief, that I'm more than enough and things are always going to work out for me, so I'm going to go for it. People will sometimes say, yeah, Tim, but you're so lucky. You've done this and that. I've created my own luck, and God has blessed me with the ability to go out there and create my own luck, right? So sometimes blessings just flow into my life from all directions, and it is good because I expect them to, right? What you expect in here, you often see out there, right? Perception is projection. What's going on in here will often be matched with what's going on out there. And of course, what happens in your outer world influences what's going on in your inner world as well, right? So it's a give and take, an ebb and flow. However, the beliefs that we have are the filters that we look through when we are viewing the experiences that are happening in our life. And it's not just the experience, but really it's our interpretation of what's happening that's causing us to feel and think and behave the way that we do in this moment. And those filters are based on our unconscious beliefs from the past, which is why I'm always focused on upgrading your unconscious beliefs and your unconscious programming, which is why I developed the whole one belief away method, because you're just one belief away from having a huge breakthrough. So if you're someone who believes that things never work out for you, then that's going to become your experience. And if you're someone who believes that things always seem to work out for you, then that's going to become your experience. And you can upgrade that, because I started one way and now I'm here. So I started out as someone who felt like things never work out for me, right? That victim mode, things never work out for me. And now I'm in a situation where I believe situations always work out for me, right? It doesn't mean that they're not stressful. I mean, there's a lot of stress that I go through in my life, but I believe that it's going to be okay. It's like climbing a mountain is stressful, right? You could die. Climbing a mountain is hard. You got to be in shape. You can't control the elements, the weather, right? Storms, the wind, there's so many elements, and it makes you feel like it's a life or death situation. So it's stressful climbing a mountain. But why do people climb? Because of who they become on the way up. And when you get to the top of the mountain, you just feel like you're living life at a whole other level. You're not playing not to lose anymore. You're playing to win. And then what do when you climb the mountain? You have the skills and ability to get back down. People want the easy way, the shortcut. We'll just drop me off on the top of the mountain with the helicopter. Well, that's fine. But then when you try to get down, you haven't developed the mastery to be able to climb. And so you're going to fall to your death. And that's what happens when people get quick wins and really easy and they didn't really develop themselves. They crash and they burn. And so we want to develop that muscle, that mastery. Be a wisdom collector as you go through your experiences. And then you celebrate when you're at the top of the mountain, you get back down, and then what do you want to do next? You want to climb another mountain, right? Because that's what achievers do. That's what people who are playing to win do, because you want to expand and create. Goals are just something to aim towards so that you can continue to reach your fullest potential and create joy. And if you are an achiever or a high performer or someone who's a visionary or a leader, you know what I'm talking about. It's something inside of you that calls you to do more, be more, have more, experience more, because you live in an abundant world and you want to have an abundant life, and you don't want to just be held back by the rules and the status quo, and you don't want other people telling you what's possible and what isn't, and what you deserve and what you don't. You're going to make that call for yourself. And that's how I am. And so that's why I attract other people like that into my life, because those are the kind of people that I want to be with. And most people are not born that way. I was not, right? And so we learn to become this way. We have that drive inside of us. It might be a small little light, but as we get older, it shines brighter. And so, I think that all of us are a diamond inside, and diamonds aren't formed with feathers. Diamonds are formed under tremendous pressure for a long time. But when they finally emerge, they're beautiful and sparkly and valuable, but they're so strong they can also cut through steel. And you, my friend, are a diamond. And I know that because you're still watching this video, okay? Other people would have bounced off because they're watching cat videos and they're watching other stuff and they're not really doing anything and not really going anywhere. But you're someone who's a seeker. You're someone who's wanting wisdom. You're someone who's maybe in pain right now and you're looking to get out of that. And so you found me, and now you're going to take these ideas and you're going to use them and put them into action and make magic, and you're going to create your own luck, right? Or you're someone who's already crushing it right now and you're just thinking, how can I take it to the next level? How can I go farther, faster, and evolve even more, right? And so either way is great. And sometimes we're in both of those places. That's very normal too. So that's the second belief, that things are always going to work out for me, and it allows me to make bold moves. And then the third belief is always believing in yourself, right? Believing in yourself. When I survey, because my ideal clients, the people that I'm spending most of my time with right now, are licensed mental health counselors and therapists and life coaches. So I train trainers, right? Mental health professionals, people that are in the personal development field, and people that are already doing well. I'm not training people who are just starting out. I'm training people who are already successful, right? So people who have already, they're making a couple $100,000 a year. They've been in practice 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't really matter how much time you've been in practice or even how much experience you have, right? So, but it does let me know where you're at as far as your success by how much money you're making. And so I'm spending time taking people who are already good and making them extraordinary, right? Because we have the special forces of personal development with my One Belief Away hypnosis certification program. And so I surveyed 5,000 mental health licensed mental health counselors and life coaches and therapists. And I said, what's the biggest challenge you're having, right? And a lot of them said a lack of self-belief, which is very frustrating for high performers because we should know better, right? Or at my age, I should know better. I'm 54 years old. At my age, I should know better by now. I should have this solved, right? This is my profession. I help all my clients feel so great. And then I'm struggling or having imposter syndrome, or I just feel stuck, or I can't seem to get it to the next level with my finances, or my system, the way I have it set up, is I'm drowning in insurance pay clients because I'm too afraid to raise my prices, or I don't think my clients would pay higher prices, or I don't know how to find my ideal clients, and because I don't really know a lot about marketing, or I've tried a little bit and it didn't work, so now I'm shy about doing it again. And so it ends up causing this imposter syndrome, and it causes us to freeze up. And so a lot of time when I surveyed people, I thought they were going to say, well, I need to figure out how to make more money or how to get more clients. That's my number one problem. And that's not what they said. They said their number one problem was self-belief, right? Their number one problem was their head trash. And I totally understood that right away because that was my number one problem too. In fact, that's all of our number one problem. You know, I coach some of the most successful people in the world, and they got that head trash too. And you never know it because you look from the outside and you're like, your life's perfect. You're a multimillionaire. You're happy. You got a great family. You know, you're in shape. You've got all this prestige. Everybody respects you. And yet they're in the inside, you know, still hung up about stuff that happened in their childhood, or having people in their life that are betraying them or sabotaging them, or they've, you know, picked up some kind of addiction, right? And they're having a hard time breaking it. I mean, we're human. It doesn't matter what we have. It doesn't matter what we've accomplished. We're still human. And so we're still all climbing that mountain. And I found that when you really focus on upgrading your beliefs and creating 100% self-belief, when I was like 19 years old, I went to a counselor and he said I had generalized anxiety. And I decided that I was going to figure out how to have generalized confidence. That's what I was going to figure out. Okay, so this shows up in big moves, right? Because when you have self-belief, you have the guts to make big, bold moves, right? I'll hire a $30,000 coach. That's a bold move. My coach that I have right now pays $100,000, you know, to be in their mastermind. And so we make bold moves, okay? But it's the small moves that people don't pay attention to that are actually the biggest needle movers in your business. For example, in the last 2 years, my home base is in Indianapolis, Indiana, but I have opened a location and stayed there for quite a while in Los Angeles, right? Right after the pandemic. Talk about a bold, gutsy move. That was scary, but I wanted to get out of the Midwest and I wanted to expand my mindset. And I figured I'd go to the West Coast and I'll hang out with movie stars and I'll hang out with movers and shakers. And that's exactly what I did. And I gained a lot of perspective and it really expanded my awareness. But then I realized that I don't like living in Los Angeles. It's kind of a mess. and so I thought, well, you know, my family, my father-in-law was moving to Florida, and we had some other experiences going on. And we love Disney World. I'm a fan of the Mickey the Mouse, right? And so, and my wife and I love that place. That's where all our vacations, we seem to go to Disney World. And so I said, why don't I open a location in Orlando? And so we did, right? And that's where I am right now. And I stopped making videos for a little while, like in an office setting. I've made them by lots. You'll see most of my videos on by palm trees because I love palm trees, whether I'm on the West Coast or the East Coast, wherever I'm at. I love palm trees, right? And so, but I don't have a big fancy office because I'm, you know, leasing this house that I'm in right now. And so it's not decorated. It's just a plain wall. And there was a part of me that said, you can't have a plain wall. What about your degrees? What about your awards? What about all your cool books? What about all the, you know, all that other stuff? And I started thinking, well, I can't have that, or I don't have that right now. I could have it, but I don't want to do that. And so, not until I know where we're going to end up. And so I thought, I'm just not going to make the video. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I came up with an excuse not to make videos. I came up with an excuse not to have a conversation with you, not to share my perspective, not to, help you find me so that we can connect, so that I can learn from you and I can learn your perspective, right? And none of that is going to happen. None of that opportunity is going to happen if I'm making excuses that I can't make a video because I got a blank wall behind me. I'm like, oh my, that's ridiculous, right? But that's what we do. We come up with these ridiculous obstacles that get in our way, that tell us that we can't do this because of that, and because of that, and because of that. And all of a sudden you're focusing on the obstacles and not the goal behind the obstacle. We got to push the obstacle down. That causes us to stand on top of the obstacle. And now what was once an obstacle is now a stepping stone that allows you to see higher and farther down the path than you could before. So here I am. I'm making a video. I haven't done it for a while, right? Because I just realized this. You don't see your own blind spots, but occasionally you do. And because I do this all the time, helping people with their blind spots, I caught my own. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to stop doing that. So belief number 3 is that you believe in yourself and you start taking massive action because you don't care what the obstacles are, because you no longer care. Do you really care if there's a blank wall behind me, or do you care about the message that I'm sharing with you? Okay. Well, I'm sure if you're in one of us, right, movers and shakers and achievers and performers and people who go out there and make things happen, that you don't care about the blank wall, right? You might like it to be aesthetic. You might be someone who's really visual and you like to have, and I do too. In Indiana, it's beautiful. I got this awesome background, right? Go look some of my other videos. I love my background, books and awards and all the fancy stuff, right? But here, I got a blank wall. Doesn't matter. What matters is the message. What matters is that I showed up today. What matters is that you and I are having this connection and this conversation right now. That's what matters. And the same is true for the people that need to hear from you. The same is true for the people that need to hear from you. So let's review these 3 beliefs, okay? Belief number 1, faith in God that he's going to carry you through no matter what. If you're afraid you won't be able to do it on your own, you don't have to. Just pray, believe, and focus on God helping you through. Number 2, make sure that you are focused on making bold moves. You got to make bold moves. You got to take risks. You got to believe that things are always going to work out for you. Situations are always going to work out for you. Money is always going to show up at the last minute. You're going to get a client from somewhere. You're going to get an opportunity from somewhere. You're going to get you're going to get some kind of blessing that comes into your life, especially if you are looking for it, especially if you expect it, especially if you say thank God in advance and you are grateful and you have an abundant heart and you just believe that it's going to fall into place somehow, some way, even though you have no idea how it's going to happen, because that's what my life's been like the last 2 years. It's been total faith, because it's been massive uncertainty and a huge amount of stress. I didn't have much hair before, but I got less now. Okay, so I got more wrinkles, right? It's been a lot of stress, but I kept believing, and situations just kept falling into place. Like miraculously, it's too many of them falling into place for me to be making it up and just confabulating in my brain. And no, synchronicity is real. The law of synchronicity is real. Situations are falling into place, and so we want to make sure that we acknowledge that instead of just being in denial, right? And so I am fully acknowledging that I'm living in a magical world right now and that life is happening for me and not just to me. And because of that, it feels like that's what's happening, right? And if I'm full of beans, I'm still going to live a happier, more fulfilled life this way than the way that I was before, where I wasn't believing and I was stressed out and I was unhappy. And so belief number 3 then is you got to have extreme confidence. You got to have extreme confidence. You've got to believe in yourself 100%. You got to love and accept yourself no matter what. You got to make a deal with yourself that you're going to have your back and you're going to love yourself even if it all falls apart, right? That you're going to love yourself even then. And when you can do that, and I bet when I said even if it all falls apart, you got to drop in your stomach, right? You're like, ugh, okay, because that's our biggest fear, that it's all going to fall apart, that we're not going to have security, that we're going to be on the street, we're going to be humiliated, and that all those jerky people that we grew up around were going to be right? That we weren't good enough, or we couldn't do it, or we were silly or stupid, or who do you think you are, and all that nonsense, right? And maybe you didn't have that. Maybe you had loving, supportive people, and you don't want to disappoint them. We all have our reasons, right? And so you want to make sure that you are focused on, I'm going to make these bold moves. I'm going to play to win, because when I play to win, I do. So those are 3 proven beliefs that will work for you. I've been testing these beliefs. I didn't think they were real, right? I was really challenging them, and they have stood the test of time. Strong faith, take action, make bold moves, believe in yourself, and take consistent action. Keep planting those prosperity seeds and expect miracles to flow into your life. I'd love to hear what you have to think about this. And if you are a licensed mental health counselor or a therapist or a life coach, or anybody that's an entrepreneur that's doing well, but you want to take it to the next level, DM me, make a comment, reach out to me, and let's have a conversation. All right, thanks so much. Make today a sure success. And remember, you're just one belief away from having a huge breakthrough in your life. Talk to you soon.